An adorable, thirsty chimpanzee is drinking water from a lake, and suddenly we fly across the world and find ourselves in bustling Taiwan. Here, we meet a young, beautiful student named Lucy. She's with someone who seems to be her boyfriend, Richard, whom she's only known for a short time. The guy is trying to convince Lucy to deliver a mysterious briefcase to a man he calls Mr. Yang at a hotel. But she doesn't want to do it because she doesn't fully trust him. When the guy realizes he can't convince her, and that the delivery has to be made no matter what, he decides to force her by cuffing her wrist to the briefcase. Then Lucy finds out he's supposedly getting paid $1,000 to make the delivery. He offers her a cut of that, so Lucy has no choice but to accept, not knowing she's stepping into a dark world of illegal activities. When she shows up at the reception and asks for Mr. Yang, some thugs come down for her, and at that moment, Richard is taken out, if you know what I mean. They shoot him right in the chest, and his remains are splattered all over the hotel's glass. Lucy, in shock, is taken by these guys to a room, still shaken. She even ends up throwing up all over herself. Poor girl. The famous Mr. Yang appears subtly with his hands covered in blood? After cleaning himself up and putting on something decent, he forces Lucy to open the briefcase, as they believe it might contain an explosive. And since she, again, has no other choice and is very scared, she decides to do it. Fortunately, it doesn't explode. Inside the briefcase, there's just a couple of bags with a blue substance that our blondie clearly doesn't recognize. He decides to test it on a guy who already seems completely out of it. The reaction isn't what he expected. It only causes some circus-like contortions and a lot of laughter. But it seems no one told Mr. Yang the joke, and he got a bit upset about it. So he just shot the guy right in the head. Now Lucy is absolutely terrified. After this, the mobster will offer Lucy a job. But first, they need to knock her out with a soft blow to the head. On the other hand, we meet Professor Samuel Norman, a distinguished scientist and expert in neurology. During an academic conference, he discusses the human brain and the mysteries of the mind, presenting his theory on human brain capacity. He explains that humans typically use only 10% of their brain power, suggesting that there is a vast, untapped potential in the human mind. Samuel emphasizes the idea that if humans could use a higher percentage of their brain capacity, they could reach a higher state of consciousness and skills, the extent of which is still unknown. Yes, all of that sounds great, and the montage shows scenes of evolution. But let's get back to the darker subplot that Lucy is going through. After being knocked out, she wakes up feeling quite sore because she's just come out of surgery. It seems the mobsters went so far as to give her a full liposuction. Fortunately, the doctor who performed the surgery assures her that the scar will be small and she'll be able to show off her abdomen in a bikini this summer. How considerate. Lucy is clearly distraught and disoriented. Along with her, some other people will be used to transport the product and will be sent to different parts of the world. While waiting for her trip, Lucy is sent to a place that seems like a prison. There, a man tries to take advantage of her, but as she resists, she's violently struck in her abdomen, right where the substance was implanted. This causes the bags to break and release the product there inside Lucy's body. As the material is absorbed, her convulsions intensify, leading her to defy gravity and develop some kind of superpowers. Back with Professor Norman, we learn that if a person were to unlock 20–40% of their brain capacity, they could potentially control people and matter. But all of this remains in the realm of science fiction, because it's a completely unknown world. Here, a student asks a question that we've all probably wondered at some point. So what might happen if, for some unknown reason, someone were to unlock 100% of their brain capacity, but the professor doesn't have an answer to that either? Though he does have some theories. Perhaps mental control over everything that exists and will ever exist. Lucy regains consciousness after her body convulses for several minutes, but now she seems almost robotic. The CPH-4 has allowed her to unlock a significant portion of her brain capacity, giving her abilities she was completely unaware of. With these new powers, she easily escapes from her confinement. It's almost like this is turning into another MCU movie. Wait, doesn't Scarlett Johansson star in those?
I'm multitasking.
After taking out some guards with a single headshot while they were enjoying their last meal, Lucy takes advantage and digs into a full feast. Now Lucy leaves the place and threatens a taxi driver to take her to the hospital. But since she doesn't have time to wait for a doctor to become available, she goes straight into an operating room and gives the doctors an extra hand by shooting the poor patient on the table. But don't worry, She had already checked his x-rays, and he wasn't going to make it anyway. There, while treating her wounds, Lucy clearly feels her mind expanding. The first thing she does is call her mom. She told her that she can recall precise details from her life, like her mother's kisses when she was just a baby, and she starts noticing patterns and connections that previously went unnoticed. The truth is, these initial abilities both amaze and frighten Lucy, leaving her in a state of confusion and wonder. And from now on, nothing remains of that frightened girl from the beginning. The doctors manage to remove one of the remaining bags from Lucy's body, and he is shocked to find out she's ingested a huge amount of CPH4. He finally explains that this substance is something pregnant women naturally produce to give that extra boost to the growing baby, but it's incredibly powerful and has the energy of an atomic bomb. He's amazed she's still alive with these abilities, but she knows she won't be alive for much longer.
Not for long.
Now, Lucy decides to pay Mr. Yang a visit, getting to him easily and taking out all his goons in slow motion without any of them noticing. There, she interrupts Yang's relaxing tattoo session by stabbing him with 2 knives in his hands. And after a reflection on pain and learning, she taps into the trafficker's mind and finds out where the other 3 people were sent. Berlin, Paris, Rome. Wow. This is going to be quite a ride. After handing out bullets like candy, she decides to leave and leave Yang stuck in the chair. Lucy now goes to her friend's house, where she starts investigating her condition and looking for someone who can help her. She ends up finding Professor Samuel Norman, whose research might be the key to saving her. Lucy contacts the professor to arrange a meeting. At first, Norman thinks it's a joke, but Lucy demonstrates her developed abilities to prove that what she's saying is true. She even hacks into the professor's house with just her mind, like she's some sort of mental Alexa. Now that he believes her brain capacity has surpassed 20%, Lucy needs to head to Paris to meet with Norman. To be honest, this conversation isn't very productive either. Now we know that Lucy is doomed no matter what she does, and Norman's solution is for her to just share the knowledge she's gaining as she reaches 100%. Anyway, this human-turned-robot decides to go see him. Now the problem is that Lucy has killed many people, and her identity is all over the news for her actions. She changes her appearance in seconds. On her way to board her flight, she contacts a local police captain to help her find the 3 CPH4 packages. The officer, knowing who's transporting the substance, alerts his colleagues to arrest them. The operation is a success, and now the suspects are in custody. During the flight, Lucy's abilities keep developing, reaching 40% of her brain capacity, and she's also living every freelancer's dream, controlling 2 computers at the same time, simultaneously and at lightning speed. But when she takes a sip of champagne, her cells start to destabilize, and she begins to disintegrate, just like Peter Parker in Tony Stark's arms. Panicked, she gets up from her seat to see what's happening, and desperately drinks the rest of the CPH4 she has. Even with that, she can't fully recover, and the disintegration worsens in a burst of what looks like confetti. Next, we head to the French police officer's office, where he has cleverly figured out that the other mule for the CPH4 is Lucy. She then wakes up in the hospital, handcuffed. The nurse alerts the police that the patient has regained consciousness. When the officers arrive, Lucy puts them to sleep and is left alone with Captain Pierre. She tells him she needs his help to get back the other substances from the arrested suspects, saying that with her, the CPH4 will be safer. And that sounds like something any other drug addict would say, doesn't it?
You said it, pal.
But seeing how powerful Lucy is, the captain has no choice but to follow her instructions. Lucy and the officer head to the hospital where the detainees are to be operated on. When they arrive, the car stops and Lucy, now with perhaps 50% of her brain capacity, can see the world as if through Vision Pro glasses. And that's a really cool scene. Lucy drives at top speed, knowing Yang will also be after the substance. She wasn't wrong. Yang's crew arrives first to recover their goods. Just as the last bag is about to be extracted, the guy holding it tries to flee, but unfortunately, he meets his end along the way. At that moment, Lucy shows up ready to get the substance back. She's on 60% now, and taking on the thugs isn't an issue for her. She just uses her mind to control them like puppets. She grabs the suitcase with the bags and takes the last one with no effort. The cop, seeing what she can do, tells her she doesn't really need him, but Lucy gives him a kiss to remind him that she does. After the whole mess Richard got her into, it's nice to see Lucy trusting someone again. Lucy heads to the university where Professor Norman is waiting with some colleagues. After showing them what she can do so they know what they're up against, she asks the cop to secure the lab since some guys are coming after her. Meanwhile, Lucy starts talking about time, life, and how humans mess up their perceptions. Perfect for a deep conversation you'd hear at a party. While they're having their deep talk, Mr. Yang and his crew show up, dead set on getting their hands on that stash. Seriously, how much does this stuff cost?
I don't know!
These guys are ready to risk it all. They start an all-out shootout, no hesitation. The cop tells Lucy they can't hold them off for long, so she orders the CPH-4 to be prepped for IV injection. Because, of course, she'd rather take the whole thing herself than let it fall into the wrong hands, whether it's Yang or some other junkie. Kinda like when I drink all the Coke at home so no one else gets kidney stones. The professor tells her that she won't survive taking so much CPH-4, but Lucy insists it's necessary so she can reach her full capacity and create a computer with all the knowledge to leave behind for humanity. As the substance is injected, Lucy's body starts transforming into this bizarre black goo that spreads across the computers and other lab equipment, turning them into a supercomputer.
What is she making?
Now, Lucy embarks on a mental journey through space and time. Eventually going all the way back to the earliest human ancestor. After touching fingers with her, she travels to the very beginning of time and witnesses the Big Bang itself. At that moment, Yang storms into the lab, aiming his gun at Lucy's head. As he approaches, the black substance overtakes Lucy. He fires, but it's pointless. Lucy has reached 100% of her brain's capacity and vanishes into the fabric of space-time, leaving only her clothes and the high-tech black supercomputer. The machine then generates a USB stick with all the information she's gathered, which it hands over to Professor Norman. When the cop asks about Lucy, he gets a text from her saying she's everywhere now. And that, guys, is how super-intelligent AI was born. By the way, don't you think it's funny that Scarlett Johansson keeps becoming an AI in movies? Twice now.
I'm multitasking.
Anyway, that's the end of this wild ride. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the movie, and if you liked this video, don't forget to drop a like and hit that subscribe button. See you next time.